This is Tea with Tom, or T as my sister calls me. Hi, this is Tea with Tom, and I'm the guest of Rachael Wilson in the BC Fitness Cafe. And I'm really excited about this interview. Rachael has a variety of experiences, and if you're looking to learn from these podcasts, this is one to learn from. So Rachael, thanks for having us in. Appreciate the hospitality.
Sure, no problem.
Cheers, by the way.
Yay.
So what are you drinking there?
This is the Poet's Tea as an Arnold Palmer, so a little bit of lemonade in there.
You used lemonade in the Poet's Tea.
Yeah.
You know, you're the first person who's tried that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. It's really good.
Well, I'm just getting along with blueberry, which you said is your bestseller.
It is one of, we have to have that made or people get upset.
Yeah, and we don't want that.
No.
No. Okay, well, you know, I've noticed that you're more than just a little creative, and I look around your shop, and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about, you know, when did you open, and you're tweaking things, you were saying all the time, right?
Yeah. Well, so interesting thing about us is that we're not just a coffee and tea bar. We are actually...
What?
Yeah. We were actually started as just a fitness facility, so exercise classes.
And this was actually in the same shopping center, just...
Yes, so we had another location that was a lot smaller, and we outgrew it. And so we were shopping around for a new location, and they offered us this space,
Yeah.
which had been a business in the past and had a smoothie bar in it. And so all this bar area, seating area was here.
Already set up.
So our choices were to tear it all out or try to do something with it, use it.
There we go.
And because I have been in the fitness industry for almost 20 years and have gotten really sort of turned off by the big box gyms where you go in, you get out as fast as possible. Nobody knows your name. They wouldn't notice if you weren't there. Having a social component to your fitness facility is actually quite nice. So people come in, they get a little something to drink, they do a class, they stop and they
stay a little longer.
They stay a little longer. They hang out, and you learn things about your clients. Like you find out there could be something serious going on in their life, something negative that it's making it hard for them.
Yeah, it can happen.
Yeah, and it gives them the opportunity to kind of, share a little bit and work through some stuff. So it becomes more than just a place to work out. It becomes, like your second community of people that are supporting and around you.
Yeah, psychologists now call it, or sociologists call it third space now. So your first space is kind of your immediate family.
Uh-huh.
Second space would be your sphere of friends, but third space would be your community, the people that you see maybe just a couple times, but a week. Mm-hmm. And you see them week after week after
mm-hmm.
week, and you've got a few common interests, and you intersect along the way. That's what you're talking about, I
guess
think.
so. Never heard that before.
Yeah, so well, there we go. Okay, so you've been here about a year?
This location had been a year. I was 3 years in the location before that we grew out of.
Okay.
And then we took about 6 months to get all of the infrastructure in place for the coffee and tea bar, and getting all signed off by the health department. That took a little time.
By the way, buying a place that had all of that, I mean, when you go to put a floor sink, which is mandatory, in the floor, and connect it to the invisible pipes that are also under the concrete slab, you just don't want to do that. And to have it done for you, so smart.
Yeah, we did have to do a fair bit because when this place was in business before, the health department requirements were a little different.
Oh.
And so we had to add some things that weren't necessary back then.
This is California, after all.
They've increased the level of everything. So the sneeze guards had to be extended, and there was a lot of little things. So we did have to put quite a bit of cash into it to get it going.
Yeah.
And it was a smoothie bar before, and so we were doing tea and coffee. That's a different setup. Yeah. But it's actually worked out really nicely.
Wow, no kidding. Well, so I look around here, and You know, I wouldn't necessarily equate bicycles and coffee and tea. So what's that connection about?
You know, that's actually something that's been part of the cycling culture forever.
Really?
Yes. So if you go to any little Italian or French little community,
Yeah.
they have outdoor seating and little cafes all over the place. And you'll see cyclists with their colorful kits and their bikes all lined up, and they will meet and have a tea or a coffee and a little snack before they go on a bike ride. Then they come back after their ride.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get them twice. So that's actually a pretty good model, really, you know,
Not
if you
so
get them
bad.
before and after. Because in our situation, they can park here, they come and get something, and then they go for their ride, and they have to come back to their car, and often they'll get something else.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm a fan of multiple income streams.
Yep.
Because what happens if, well, I mean, on the off chance that a pandemic happens
That
and
can
it shuts
happen.
down one of your income streams, you know? So what do? Well, you go out of business is what happens,
A lot of
unless you
people
have
have.
other income streams that you
Yep.
can rely on.
Yep.
And you've really done that. So when you think about income from your shop, you're getting it from your tea and coffee bar,
Yes.
right? You're also getting it from bicycle tune-ups, sizings,
Yep.
and so forth. But then you also have lots of bikes, like you have kind of the Peloton, you know, spinning and Pilates classes
Yes.
and all of that. So that's another source of income, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then you have tons of merchandise for all this stuff.
Yes.
I could get a bike crank if I really wanted one today.
You really needed one, yes.
Yeah, if I really needed one. Yeah, or I could get, you know, something that would be comfortable to wear during Pilates.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant.
It's slowly taking off. The difference with us, that's the thing that's right now difficult for us,
Yeah.
is the fact that when you say gym, you have a picture in your mind, you know what that means. When you say cafe, you have a picture in your mind and you know what that means.
Yeah, but this is not what you would picture.
No,
With
no,
either,
it
yeah.
isn't. So there isn't like a word for all of this in one place.
Yeah.
So that's been the challenge. So we've been toying around. We've divided up our websites, for example. So we have one that's just about the cafe. We have one that's just about the mechanics portion. We have
Yeah.
one that's just about the fitness portion. There is a central website hub that will direct you to all different places.
Right.
But they all have their own dedicated website. They have a continuity in how they appear online and everything. But that way, when you have let's say the cyclist person who's just looking for help with their training or their bike fit,
Yeah.
they're not just finding coffee,
Yes, right.
you know, or tea. You know,
Yes.
they find that, and then they find out, oh, well, if I go get my bike fit done, I can go get an Arnold Palmer too.
While you're waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you were telling me that the reach, even though you're a year old here, that your reach through, you know, your website and so on goes far beyond California.
Yeah. Well, due to COVID, all of our classes are on Zoom right now.
Yeah.
And people are figuring out, well, I don't have to just go take exercise classes
Yeah.
where I live. I can get exercise classes from anybody I want to who I happen to
On
enjoy.
your tablet or whatever.
Yeah, who I happen to enjoy having a class with. So
Yeah.
some of my instructors have family members in New York State, and they're participating in their Zoom classes.
So from New York State, they're participating
Yes.
in the Zoom class here.
Yes.
So how did the people find out about this?
So we have a scheduling app that runs all of our point of sale, all of our scheduling for classes, and that's just open to the public. So there's a companion app that goes with that, and they just search.
So what's its name? Is this through Apple?
It's called Mind Body.
Mind Body?
Yes.
Okay.
Mind Body, and it's basically think of Yelp for fitness, beauty, and wellness, which I believe is massages and things like that.
So they could find the BC Fitness Cafe
Yes, they could.
through this app,
Yes, they could.
and they could dial in, and they could be as far away as.
Well, we have someone from Switzerland who
Switzerland.
participates
Yeah.
in Zumba classes.
Yeah, there we go. They don't mind the time lag, right?
That's right. That's
There
right.
we go. That's one of the cool things about COVID is that I don't know if we're going to do business in the same ways. It's such an
No.
international community, such a beyond the walls
Yes.
of the building, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I don't see us ever going back to not having Zoom at all. I think that we'll have some sort of hybrid Zoom in-person thing going on
Right,
even
right.
far into the future.
Okay.
Because I definitely wouldn't want to cut off anybody from Switzerland or wherever else who
No
wants to
way.
do a Zumba class.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Okay, well, let me come back though. You know, I remember you really early on when we were just figuring out what your tea menu would be. I could tell that you were a creative person because you were already thinking about how you would mix and match and take our teas and make them into things that are essentially yours and part of your shop here. That creativity, like the Arnold Palmer, and you know, with the poet's tea. So you were telling me earlier that you have an art background.
I do.
What's that about?
Well, I've always been artistic, even since a little kid. And so when I went to college, that's what I got my degree in. I am actually very dyslexic, as it turns out.
Well, that makes you a good entrepreneur.
Well, it does in the sense that I'm never going to be doing a sit-down, regular desk job,
Yeah.
filing clerical anything.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
ask me to alphabetize a thing. It's just disastrous. So I always had to work more with my hands or, with people. So for a number of years, for 25 years, I taught ceramics.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about that?
I taught ceramics for 25 years. I have a degree from UC Davis. Even before I finished my art degree, I was teaching in the facility on campus, teaching ceramics. And then I continued that all the way through both of my pregnancies, both of my children. I had several studios in my home, and I outgrew those spaces and had to expand. And at the same time, my family has been always really active with cycling.
Okay.
And so when I was in college, I was racing for my collegiate cycling team and found out that I was good at eyeballing people and figuring out how their bike should be set up. And I think it has something to
Really?
do.
So
Yeah,
so it's a knack.
it is. It's a visual thing. It's very visual. It's much like art composition. So
Much like art composition. So you can tell if the composition is off.
yes, in fact, that drives me crazy. I see people drive by here all day long, and it's like, oh, geez, let me help you.
The length of their crank, I
Oh,
cannot
it's
believe it.
terrible, or their handlebars, or their seat height, or something.
Wow, that is really cool.
Yeah. So that's how I got into using my art background or my visual nature
Yeah,
to start getting into bike fitting. It wasn't like I got up one day and said I want to be a bike fitter.
right.
It was sort of started out as a joke. I would tease my teammates and say, "Oh, you lowered your seat by 1/8 of an inch," and they'd say, "How do you see that?" And I'm like, "It's obvious." You know?
Yeah.
But then I found out that wasn't obvious for everybody,
Yeah,
and that's how I
exactly.
fell into that. So
Yeah, what a special talent. Well, so, yeah, it's interesting, but all of those things that you did, although the application isn't exactly direct, but they all accumulate and bring you to this present time.
yeah,
And how cool that these things start converging for you.
yeah,
Because it's not just about having a shop, it's not just about having a fitness center, it's about these really meaningful things that have been meaningful for a long time
mhm,
coming together.
mhm.
I think that's really cool. So you probably don't have to deal so much with motivation. I mean, you got issues with the power company and blah, 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 but the fact is that's just
owning a business.
owning a business.
Yeah. No, no, this is all fun stuff. I get to work with people. I get to do artsy visual things.
Get to create a beautiful space to be in.
Yeah, and that was something I found with my previous location was that people came in and said, "It's so nice in here. It's so relaxing." And usually when I go into my gyms, I kind of feel like it's a sterile environment, and,
Yeah.
and I just want to get out of there.
Yeah, true enough.
Whereas this place kind of feels more comfortable and welcoming, and someplace you want to hang out.
Yeah. Well, you were saying that you picked up that inspiration from one of the least sterile places on the planet on a vacation.
Yes. So when I was setting up my first studio in this mall, I was looking for a palette for colors.
Okay.
I knew I didn't want to do your typical white wall like a regular gym. I wanted to stay away from that. And it's a 1960s building, a lot of aluminum window frames and stuff like that. And so I was in the process of remodeling a mid-century modern home, and I thought, well, I'm going to see if I can find
Love mid-century.
Yeah, I wanted to see if I could find a nice mid-century palette that would work well in a gym.
Yeah, that's not the avocado.
Not just avocado green
Yeah.
and orange or whatever.
Right, right.
And so I was in Maui on a family vacation and came across this tree called a painted tree, which is actually a type of eucalyptus tree.
Yeah.
And when the bark peels, it is these colors, the colors that my studio is. This is the inspiration.
And that's where your palette came from.
Yes.
The painted eucalyptus tree.
Yes, yes. And nature does it the best. It really combines colors more perfectly than anybody.
Yeah, and so here it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking around, and beyond the color and the design of your place, I see bikes hanging everywhere. But you're saying these bikes fall into two categories. It's not just that you're selling some, or
Yeah,
them all.
actually, none of these bikes are for sale.
None of the bikes hanging up are for sale.
No, these are loaners for our cycling organization. So as I said, we're a cycling family. I'm actually a cycling coach. I'm one of the...
That's what BC stands for,
Bike
right?
coach.
Bike coach,
Mhm.
yeah.
When we just called ourselves bike coach, it deterred some people from coming in. So we decided to go with just the letters because it was more inclusive feeling. And only the people who look closely at our logo notice that that's actually a bicycle chain ring mixed into the logo. More subtle now. So it doesn't scare off the people.
Doesn't scare them off,
Yeah.
thinking this is a specialty shop.
Yeah, it's not just bikes. It's
Yeah.
not just about bikes. But the bikes that are hanging on the walls are the ones that aren't currently in use by a child. So we run a junior cycling development program, teaching kids everything from just how to ride to their friend's house or school safely, all the way up to I want to go to the Tour de France. How do I get there? We can support them up to that level.
Yeah, vision at all levels.
Yeah, no, it's
Well, that's
for real.
pretty cool. I mean, you teach kids those things, and you have to believe that at some point in time you're saving somebody's life.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know that without a doubt. And we work with kids and adults, but the bikes in here are specifically for the kids. And then we create a mentorship opportunity for them, and eventually an opportunity for them to get some job skills.
So mentorship, you mean that kids involved in your program, they kind of grow up in it, but then they come back
Yep.
and they coach or mentor the
Younger
little
yep.
kids that are coming up just
Yep.
like they did.
Because the little kids would much rather listen to a teenager or a young
That's
young
right.
person than me.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
they
no,
can
it works
speak
well.
their language.
Yeah, absolutely. So they mentor the younger riders. They learn how to work on bikes. I have many of my juniors can build a bike from a bicycle frame and a pile of parts and build it
Yeah.
all the way up and ride it.
Wow.
And so they're developing a marketable skill. They could work, as a mechanic forever if they want to, or maybe just in college if they
Yeah.
need a second job.
They take a turn as a barista at the cafe.
And
all of a
that's
sudden
the
they've
other
got
part. That's the other part is that they can also learn to work the coffee bar,
yeah.
coffee and tea, learn how to make all that sort of stuff and gain some work experience there. So
Yeah.
when they do move on and go off to college or wherever else, they have two forms of potential income
Yeah.
right
Well,
from
they
the
know how
get-go.
to work,
Yeah.
which is a real skill all
Yeah.
by itself. Okay, so you were saying though that there's, I don't know if it was an affordability issue that was driving it, but you were saying that you have a not-for-profit that works alongside your for-profit business.
Well, the bicycle portion is nonprofit.
The bicycle portion.
Yes. So originally what happened was when my in-laws passed away, we took a portion of that inheritance to create the Barry and Joyce Wilson Family Foundation, which helped purchase a lot of these bikes.
Yeah.
And also to maintain them for quite a long time before we had a little bit of income stream coming in with like the rentals, for example. So the kids rent the bikes. The money that comes from the rental goes directly into paying for parts and tires and
Keeping
inner
them on the
tube.
road.
Yeah, keeping them, or buying more bikes,
Yeah.
or paying for them to do some of the big trips.
Yeah.
If we go to Quebec to race in Tour of Labitibi, or if we go to Ireland to do the Tour of Ireland, which we did last year, sometimes those kids need some help to get the flights paid for
Wow.
or whatever.
Wow. Well, interesting. we're just launching a Summit Tea and Coffee fundraising strategy
Really?
where, we provide the coffee and tea side, and then the people with the project go out and we'll sell it on a per bag basis to family and friends, and derive considerable profit from that. So,
We should talk about that.
well, maybe we should. Maybe we should. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I want to explore that a little bit more, because you were saying that a kid comes in here. You said you gave me an example of a 9-year-old and
Yeah.
how they grew up through a series of bikes to age 15.
Yeah, he just turned 16 on Tuesday.
Okay.
And yeah, he was 9 or 10 years old, and he's been through 9 bikes.
9 bikes. See, that
Yeah.
blows my mind.
Yeah.
But that's important for them to stay sized correctly.
Yes. So just like with our shoes when we were little kids, our parents would buy shoes 3 sizes too big, and you would trip on them until you grew into them.
Yeah.
People did that historically with bikes too, or still do that. They'll buy a bike that's 2 or 3 sizes too big, and then the kid can't really steer it or stop it or turn it because it's too long. They can't reach out
Yeah,
there.
they can wreck it though.
That's right. Yeah, they can hurt themselves. So we figured out, from our own coaching background and our own children, how important it was for the bikes to fit properly.
Yeah.
And so we rent the bikes out. I professionally fit the kid to their bike. As soon as they outgrow
Oh, okay. So it's a rental basis.
It's a rental.
Yeah. So they don't have. This kid doesn't have 9 bikes that
No.
sitting at home that are all too small
Nope.
now.
Nope.
So
Nope.
he's just traded up
Yep.
as time goes by.
Yep.
That's really a great support for encouraging young cyclists,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
Because they're not, and their parents too, right? Because
Yeah.
they're not forking over money. I mean, a good bike costs good money.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you can't just buy one every year. You
No,
know?
most people can't. So they buy a big bike, and then maybe the kid doesn't like it because it either doesn't work very well because it's too big, or they just don't like cycling.
Yeah.
And now you've got this bike you're stuck with. So this is a way for kids to try this out with a very low risk. The rental fee is really very reasonable. It's less than what some of the big resort cities will charge for a 1-day rental.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's half actually what they would charge for a 1-day rental
I'll be darned.
for an entire month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I love your concept. I think it's great. So you're saying that you have to shoo the kids out at the end of the day sometimes.
Yes. Last night included. Yeah. It's like, guys,
Because they like being here. It's a cool place, and you're really created a community for them, and really you're honoring them, right?
Yeah.
You're not. We would say that this business does not exploit anyone.
No, not at all.
In fact, just the opposite.
Right.
So I love how a not-for-profit can work with a for-profit. In fact, we did an interview with Higher Grounds Coffee Shop that's actually owned by a church.
Oh, wow.
So, and how they blended, a not-for-profit religious organization with a for-profit coffee shop. So I think there's room for tons of creativity to accomplish that community space that we've been talking about.
Yep. And I'm supporting other local small businesses in my business. So you included.
Like Summit Tea.
You
That's
included.
what I'm talking
yeah.
about.
And we have locally roasted coffee, and we
Yeah.
also have locally produced baked goods as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. That's one of the things I really appreciated about being here at Redlands, is that kind of from the get-go, we just kind of got embraced by the business community. And, people gave us favor, and so it was really easy for us to kind of get into that culture and favor local business ourselves.
Yeah, and then they've got your back, too. I mean, the chief of police's wife, mother-in-law, and father-in-law all take classes from me.
Hello.
And so and his kids were in my cycling program
Oh, wow.
before they moved away and went to college.
Yeah.
And so, if I've got something scary happening in the parking lot, I can text the chief of police and say, "Can you help me out?" And it's fantastic. And it's like that in a lot of different ways. The woman from the Chamber of Commerce has just started taking classes from me, which is fantastic.
Nice.
So it goes both ways. We help their family members, and they help us too.
Yeah. Well, maybe looking back a little bit, these convictions that you've been talking about make so much sense. but where did they come from? You know,
Oh.
you're creating this community, this culture for kids. You're honoring them. You're not exploiting them. You're leveraging their level of enthusiasm, whether it's to get to school or to the Tour de France. You know.
Right. Where did that come from? Maybe from initially from being an athlete myself,
Okay.
and in
Which is
seeing.
not an easy road, right?
No, not at all. And seeing the deficits in the support that I got,
Okay.
as a newer rider, and
Sometimes a bad example can teach best.
yeah, I mean it was just a lack of depth with like teaching how to be safe, for example, or
Yeah, yeah.
what equipment to carry. And what I was drawn to were the people who naturally were mentors. So I had a friend who was serious about the sport. She was actually racing professionally at the time, and she took me under her wing, and she showed me everything. And I said,
Wow.
this is what everybody really needs to have is a person, their person. And so that is part of what I've done is I've become the person to help build up anybody who's interested in doing this sort of thing.
Yeah. And not just you, your mentorship program kind of duplicates.
Well, that's what I mean is I'm teaching that
Yeah.
to the kids too. So the kids are learning that when they enter the program that there's going to be an older kid that's going to help them.
Yeah.
And then when they get older, they're going to help another little kid.
You bet. Well, it would be great to extend that to, keeping the restrooms clean and the carpet vacuumed.
Yeah, and we ask them to do some of that. Some of them do better jobs than others.
Well, that's part of it.
If they are actually fully working here, like with the coffee and tea bar, for example, there's actually a checklist, and that's on the list too. So they do that stuff too.
That's part of being open to the public.
Yep, but that's part of this model too that we're really enjoying is we take we'll use that same kid as an example who started with the program when he's 10 and now
Yeah.
he's 16, is he can work on bikes, he can work in the coffee bar, so we're developing the ability to get some work experience that they can take elsewhere. And that's true with any of them that are interested.
Yeah.
So it's a give and
Well,
take.
I think about the person, who doesn't have the benefit of looking back on years of experience. And, they I had this bad experience, or nobody believed in me when I was, trying to, break into cycling or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And what you've done is you've taken what might have been a negative experience and you've turned it around and said, not on my watch.
Mm-hmm.
We can do it so much better and have fun while we do it.
Yep.
Bravo.
Yep, and as a result, these kids are staying safe when they're out on the road. When they're 10 years old, they know who has the right of way at a four-way stop sign. They know to look in blind spots, with hedges or whatever, blind spots on driveways or whatever.
Yeah,
They know
yeah.
where cars can't see because we teach them all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Bravo.
yeah,
By the way.
thank you.
Okay, so where is this all going? What's your vision for this? I mean, obviously you want to get past COVID.
Yeah.
You'd like to be profitable.
Yep.
You want to see your concept grow and be a blessing to other people. But how would you describe it? What's the vision? What's going to happen here?
Well, I think that all of these things that we're currently doing will continue to grow. Because we are sort of cycling centric, and because cyclists like to drink coffee and tea and have a little
God
snack.
bless them.
Yeah. We've encouraged like the local clubs, for example, to use this for their monthly meetings.
There we go.
And so those are usually after hours. And once they come in the door, they go, oh, well, I have all these great things, these offerings that they can purchase.
Yeah.
But at the same time, then they find out, oh, well, she does bike fits, and there's coaching things that she does. Oh, and there's exercise classes that are appropriate for someone who's riding a bike or wants to, keep their body strong or unwind an injury, that I can do here.
Yeah.
So that has continued to sort of build itself, and
Yeah.
that's currently happening.
Now, what about, you were saying part of your business are seniors.
Yeah.
It's not just about all young kids.
Which is why we moved away from the bike coach name and just abbreviated to BC, because a lot of my seniors have no interest in a bicycle.
In racing, yeah.
Or racing or any of that stuff.
But they are interested in fitness.
They are, and they are some of my most consistent exercisers
Huh?
because they're retired.
Yeah.
And they realize that exercise in this way is probably the closest thing you'll get to the fountain of youth.
So are they doing Pilates? Are they doing?
They're doing Pilates, strength training. They're doing spin classes. They're doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Well, very good. So, if people wanted to find out more, they would go to that app, right?
If they wanted to find out specifically about classes, they could go to our BC Fitness website, and it would direct them wherever they.
Is it bcfitnesscafe.com?
Any of the above will get you there.
Okay.
So if you just go with BC Fitness and Google that,
You'll find it.
You'll find it. Yeah.
Okay, Redlands, California.
Yeah, you don't
All
even
right.
need that. Just
Yeah.
BC Fitness and Cafe would get you there.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's meaningful to me, Rachel, is that, the tea that we provide from Summit Tea is not a big part of what you're doing, but it gives me a sense of satisfaction in contributing, even in a small way, to your success and what you're trying to accomplish here. And that's a big thing for me.
Well, I'm just happy that you're local and you're here, and I get to use your
There we
tea.
go.
And I get to see you when you come to bring me stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Rachel, thanks for the time. It's been awesome. And best wishes for BC Fitness Cafe.
Thank you.
This is Tea with Tom, or Tea as my sister calls me.